Let's talk about a new class of weapon that's emerging right now. One that moves at unbelievable speeds and, get this, can change direction whenever it wants. We're not just talking about faster missiles here. No, this is a genuine technological leap, and it's completely shaking up the global balance of power, kicking off a brand new arms race.
I mean, really think about that for a second. What if a weapon was so fast, so unpredictable, that there was literally nothing you could do to stop it? Well, that's not a sci-fi question anymore. It's the very real problem that military strategists and world leaders are dealing with right now, and it's all because of hypersonic technology.
All right, so to really get our heads around why these new weapons are such a massive game changer, we need to look at the single biggest difference between the old tech and the new stuff. And honestly, it all boils down to the path they take to the target.
Okay, and this is probably the best way to visualize it. Think of a traditional ballistic missile, like a cannonball or a really, really fast baseball. Once you launch it, it follows a high, predictable arc. You can do the math and figure out exactly where it's going to land. But a hypersonic missile, that's more like a skipping stone. It flies low, it's insanely fast, and it can zigzag and change direction at any point. Good luck trying to predict where that's going.
So, for decades, ballistic missiles have been the cornerstone of nuclear strategy. And don't get me wrong, they are incredibly fast. We're talking speeds of Mach 20 or even more. But, and this is the big but, they've always had that one key weakness, that high predictable path. For any modern missile defense system, if you can spot it early and track its arc, you've got a shot at taking it down.
Hypersonic weapons are just a totally different beast. They fly at speeds over Mach 5, sure, but the key is they stay inside the atmosphere, where they can maneuver. And they basically come in two main flavors. First, you've got hypersonic glide vehicles, or HGVs. They get shot up on a rocket, then they detach and just glide to their target, carving through the air. Then you have hypersonic cruise missiles, which are powered by these wild new engines called scramjets that let them breathe air and sustain those crazy speeds for the whole flight.
And this right here, this picture, it shows you the problem perfectly. See that big high arc of the ICBM? It pops way up above the atmosphere. That makes it pretty easy for satellites and long-range radars to see it coming from a long way off. Now look at the HGV and the cruise missile paths down below. They're flying much, much lower, kind of hugging the curve of the Earth. That keeps them hidden from radar for a lot longer, which means the warning time just shrinks like crazy. These are weapons of surprise.
So, as you can probably guess, this massive technological shift from predictable to unpredictable has lit a fire under the world's major powers. Welcome, everybody, to the new hypersonic arms race.
This quote really just hits the nail on the head. See, this isn't just about the technology itself. It's about perception and fear. When one country is developing a secret weapon, other countries assume the worst and feel like they have to build their own just to keep up. It creates this vicious cycle of suspicion and one-upsmanship that just pushes the whole thing forward faster and faster.
And let's be really clear about the why. The main reason nations are pouring billions into this isn't just to have a faster missile. It's to build a weapon that makes an enemy's super expensive, super advanced missile defense shield totally useless. It's an offensive key designed to unlock any defensive door.
And the pace of this race, it is just staggering. To give you some perspective, in the 10 years before 2018, China conducted about 20 times more hypersonic tests than the United States. 20 times. That's not a small lead. That's a massive capability gap.
So now, the US is basically playing catch-up, funneling a ton of money into its own programs to close that gap. And the urgency is real. Why? Because Russia isn't just testing this stuff anymore. They've already deployed their avant-garde system. They've even used hypersonic missiles in actual combat in Ukraine, which was a world first.
So with this race going full throttle, let's do a quick rundown of the main players and see what kind of hardware they're bringing to the competition.
All right, so Russia really got the jump on everyone, being the first to actually deploy a system with its avant-garde glide vehicle. They also have the Zircon cruise missile. The US is working on a few different systems, like the Army's Dark Eagle. China's been showing off its DF-17. And India's right in the mix too, working on its own tech and also collaborating with Russia on the BrahMos 2. And you know, it's not just a three-horse race anymore. This tech is starting to spread. Other powerful nations like France, Japan, Australia, they're all starting their own hypersonic programs, which means this whole strategic puzzle is only going to get more and more complicated. Okay, and this brings us to what might be the most important part of this whole discussion. what does all of this mean for global security? Because this isn't just about shiny new military toys. It's about a fundamental change to the idea of strategic stability.
The dangers here are, well, they're profound. Because these weapons are so fast, they shrink the time a world leader has to make a decision in a crisis from maybe 15 or 20 minutes down to just a couple of minutes or even seconds. Then there's what experts call warhead ambiguity. An incoming hypersonic missile is detected, but what's on it? A conventional bomb or a nuclear warhead? There's no way to tell. That uncertainty dramatically increases the chance that a leader, under immense pressure, could make the wrong call and accidentally escalate a situation into a catastrophe.
And this right here is a really, really big deal. For over half a century, there's been a clear, bright line between conventional war and nuclear war. But hypersonics start to blur that line. Their sheer speed and energy mean they can destroy hardened targets, like missile silos or command bunkers, a non-nuclear warhead. This could make starting a major war seem less risky, dangerously lowering the threshold for a massive conflict.
I mean, just look at the raw numbers here to see how much time has vanished. Your classic, reliable Tomahawk cruise missile takes over an hour to fly 1,000 kilometers. A Mach 5 hypersonic weapon covers that same distance in about 10 minutes. Think about that. That's almost a full hour of time for phone calls, for checking satellite data, for deliberation. Just gone, wiped off the board.
So we're left with this really unsettling final question. We are moving into a new reality where the speed of war is literally faster than the speed of human thought and deliberation. In a world where an attack warning shrinks from minutes to mere seconds, the old rules of deterrence and stability might not work anymore, which forces all of us to ask, how does our world stay safe?